I was on QVC not too long ago and we had a call-in, which was really cool, live call-in. Someone said, can you do pinwheels on, she didn't sound like that, I don't know why I made it. She was lovely, she was wonderful. She asked if we could do pinwheels and I was like, I've never actually done pinwheels on the show, ever, not once. So we're doing pinwheels. Let me show you how I like to do it. Before we get to our steak, we're using skirt steak, I do want to get to my onions. This is the filling before we get to the main attraction, as you will. Decent cut here, a little like a thick julienne or so. Salt and pepper, a little olive oil on the griddle. Let that cook down. Let's go 4 minutes, 5 minutes, toss it a few times. We don't want to go full caramelized. We're not looking for French onion soup here, but we do want them to soften up a little bit and bring out some of the natural sweetness. While that's cruising, let's chop up a decent amount of garlic. We said this in the past, if a chef says 2 cloves, use 5. Or he's gonna use 5. That's just a lot of garlic. That's how it works. Don't be too concerned with chopping it up super, super tiny. It is gonna be filling. It will be delicious no matter how big or small it is. Throw that in at the end, like the last 2 minutes, for our onions. Toss it around a few times. That's kind of what we're looking for. We're looking for toasted, caramelized, softened onions and garlic. While that's finishing up, we also have our red bell pepper. Remove the seeds. I do want a thin julienne on this. It's gonna go in the middle. It's gonna wrap. It's gonna give us some color, some contrast. We're not adding a ton, so it's not a ton of flavor, but it is gonna give us a really beautiful color. Today I'm using inside skirt steak. It's pretty flat, right? It kind of rolls out, but we do want to flatten it even more. But here's a little trick, season it first. So we're pounding the seasoning into it. Today I'm using the high plains steak. It's got thick granules. It's really delicious. If you haven't tried it yet, pick some up. Parchment paper and a mallet. We're gonna flatten this out as much as possible. Try to keep your mallet nice and flat. If you kind of go in at an angle, you're just gonna start breaking the meat apart. Now when we're done, this is what we have. Let's start loading this bad boy up. Go ahead and grab those gorgeous, stunning onions and go right down the center. Now, it's okay if you overfill a little bit, some's gonna fall out, but you want as much inside as possible. Honestly, you can put whatever you want into this. I mean, I've got spinach and red peppers and some provolone, but you could take this any direction you wanted to. You could throw bacon in here, you could do cheddar, you could do a million different things, but this is the basic technique. Now, when we're rolling this up, start from the thinnest side possible. It's kind of like making sushi, delicious beef sushi. Roll and pull tight, roll and pull tight, roll and pull tight. Fold some cheese over if it's hanging out, just like get it all in there as much as possible. So what we're left with is kind of this roulade, this roll. Now I've got some butcher's twine. We're gonna tie this in 2 different spots to hold each individual steak together. It's gonna give us that spiral. So make sure you tie them pretty tight. If you tie them too tight though, stuff will start to squeeze out one end or the other. Tight enough to hold it, how about that? Once we're tied off, add a good bit more seasoning on the outside. The seasoning on the inside is important, don't forget that step. Of course, you gotta season the outside. Then if you want, if you were doing a much bigger version, you can cut this into multiple pieces, but I like a big, fat cut here. Like this is a decent hunk of meat. Right down the center, and then trim off the edges so we have 2 flat sides. I mean, it looks beautiful as is. Give it a bit more seasoning. Now here's the part, you don't want to go too high of a heat, otherwise your cheese and all your vegetables will burn as that sliced flat layer of the steak starts to cook. So medium heat, medium-ish heat. Once that goes on, let it cook for, I would say 4 minutes on the first side, maybe a little bit more if you like a well-done steak. Then flip it. What you're looking for, again, don't let the cheese burn. If it falls out the side, that's great. Crispy cheese skirt never hurt nobody, Andy. Everyone loves a good crispy cheese skirt. Chispy, you know what I said, that thing. However, I do want to bring it off the direct heat and cook with ambient heat. So adding like a cookie sheet, it raises the steak up. We still get the ambient heat. We add a dome, now we're kind of finishing the cook. Let's go 10 minutes or so. A little bit longer if you like it well done, a little bit less if you like it rare. But what we're left with is this gorgeous little, it looks like fancy stuff. I don't like that word fancy, Andy, but I think this is it. It's fancy. Be sure before you serve to cut off the little bit, the butcher's twine. Almost forgot the word, Andy. Cut off the butcher's twine, and if you want to, just like slice it open. Serve it before slicing, right? Serve it whole. But when you slice it open, you get to see all the goodies. You got the cheese, you got the onions, the peppers, the color. It's really, really gorgeous. It's a fun thing if you've never tried it. So to that lovely caller on QVC, this is how I like to do it. Sometimes you just gotta play. Sometimes you just gotta play with your food a little bit. And that is really, really fun. I don't know if you can tell, this right here, that's, oh, you can't really hear it. That's crispy cheese. That's crispy cheese right there. And that is gorgeous skirt steak. Here we go. That's just fun. Let me get some of the vegetables, some of those onions. Now remember, we cooked the onions first. In the garlic, right? The bell peppers were raw, so there's a little crunch to them, and that's okay for bell peppers. You don't want that with the onion, not on this one. Definitely cook the onions first. There you go. Play with your food. Crispy cheese, roulade. What do we call this? Pinwheels? Flank pinwheels? We'll come up with a name for it. We'll put it in the other thing. Anyway, thank you for hanging out. Let me know down in the comments. What would you guys like to see? Is there a recipe you want to learn? Is there something you've seen and would like to see, like flip-flop it on its head, like a TikTok tested? Those are fun. Do you love it? You like it? Share it, comment, leave all the things, do all the stuff, do all whatever. You know what to do. Subscribe, like, whatever else. That's it. That's all I got. Thank you guys for hanging out. This is Cook, Eat, Repeat, where we like to help you become a better cook one recipe at a time. I'm your host, Chef Nathan Lippy. I'll see you all in the next episode.